Make me proud, don't never back up, don't never back down. Stand your ground and always tell it like it is. Yeah, this life's gonna be real damn tough. You take them scars and you call that bluff. Don't let me catch you fitting in, 'cause everyone's an outlaw until it's time to do outlaw shit.
Welcome to Outlaw Entrepreneur Podcast, where doing business at the edge is the status quo and average is out of business. Here's your host, Steve Hauk.
Good morning to our delayed start this morning. Little technical difficulties. We won't blame Elijah, but it was all his fault. No worries. I'm glad to have Elijah on my show this morning. Welcome, sir.
What's going on?
So we've been friends, Facebook friends for a moment, following from afar, and love to see what you're doing with VetBoss and watching the VetBoss group grow. Over 5,000 strong. That's impressive. And watching veterans help one another is also, passion of mine as it is of yours. Yeah. And man, I was just going through your photos. You got some incredible wedding photos.
Oh, thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
So, your wife makes you look good, but you're not a bad looking guy, but man, you got some good wedding photos. Very impressed with the photographer, and just a gorgeous wedding. So
thanks, bro.
How long you been married, Elijah?
We've been married for almost 9 years now. Well, I'm almost 10 years, 9 years currently. So that was our wedding ceremony that you saw the photos of. Yeah.
So that was it's been a moment then.
Yeah.
You're not amateurs.
No, we're not.
So let's go back to how long you been out of the military?
2016. So what? 5 years?
5 years.
If my math does me justice. 2016.
So I got out in 2008, so 8 years before you.
I think my math was wrong. I think it was 7 years. So that would put you at 9 years.
Forever. So let's see, we're almost 15 now. Almost 15 years.
Oh my gosh.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, it does.
So before the military, where are you from, Elijah?
Maryland. Columbia, Maryland.
Yeah. What was it like growing up there?
It was pretty cool, man. I don't know if anybody's seen the skit about Dave Chappelle growing up in Silver Spring, but I'm from that area. So it's pretty common, just a suburban area, middle class, but you don't feel like you're living exceptionally above average or anything like that. That was actually the joke of the whole skit, but it was cool. It was safe, stuff like that.
So what took you to the Air Force?
It's funny. I was a bit of a rebel or an outlaw, I guess you could say. Just, high school wasn't really big on authority. Wanted to start a business after the military, or wanted to start a business, but I knew I didn't have the discipline. And so I joined the military to develop that discipline.
Did it work? Oh, I don't know. For some reason, I don't think you can hear me if you're clicked on only.
I can hear you.
Did you develop the discipline?
I did. But, it also came with some things that I had to undo. Yeah.
So we shared that in common, right? So I joined the military because I thought I needed discipline as well. Mm-hmm. It was one of those things. It was a mini factor, right? Because we had just went to Iraq and stuff when I joined. So there was many leading factors, but I also thought, man, I am lacking that wake up at 5 a.m. and go get it done. Mm-hmm. But I can't say that the military changed me in that regard. Like, I still hate 5 a.m.
Oh man.
I still hate running. I see you're still a runner. I hate it.
Really?
So
Makes sense. I don't know what it was. Like I think I'm a natural runner. I just didn't know until I had to run. And then I was like, oh, I'm good at running. So I guess it makes more sense for me to keep it up. It's like, it's natural.
yeah, I'm not good at it. I mean, for PT test, I was good at it, but I never enjoyed it. It was never one of those things. I was more a combatives. When we did combatives for PT, that was my style.
Combatives? What are those?
So, like jiu-jitsu, fighting.
You guys got to do that at PT?
Yeah.
Get out of here. What branch?
Army.
Army? Man, you missed out.
You did. However, so neither one of us made it a career. Why didn't you make it a career, Elijah?
Bro, well, first off, I went in with the intention to get out and start a business. But when it was time for me to actually do that, it was almost more it was definitely more terrifying getting out than it was getting in. But I'm gonna just be honest, I really don't like shedding any negative light on the military at all. But I didn't like supervision at a lot of the bases that I was at. And so that was really like a call to where it's like, I gotta find change to where I can be in an environment to where I can create the supervision or I could just stay here and wait 15 years and try to excel and then have that type of impact. But I just felt like I needed to make change as quickly as possible.
No, I can tell you the number one reason why I got out of the military, the number one reason why, I mean, I didn't join with the goal of being a career guy, but there were points where I thought, I really kind of like this, but Staff Sergeant Tatum. So he's the reason why I got out of the military, because I realized, and now he was promoted to Sergeant First Class, and hopefully all my friends are watching this show that I was in the military with, and they'll realize, yeah. So Staff Sergeant Tatum was a dumbass. And I realized there's always going to be a dumbass in charge. So I couldn't do it, right? Like, you can surrender 20 years to being told what to do by somebody dumber than you.
Exactly.
Just because they've been in the military longer. Right?
I love how straightforward you with it. That was exactly why I got out.
Like, no. And I mean, and I have the person, right? Like, he was the prime example of the reason why I got out, because he was the guy that was always on profile. So he wasn't the one doing the ruck marches, right? He wasn't the one, like, I mean, I was a team leader. He was my squad leader at the time. And dude, I'm forced to ruck, and I got herniated disc in my back still and stuff. And I'm ruck marching because I don't want to let my soldiers down, yet this guy's following us in a freaking Humvee. No way.
Oh my gosh.
Like, no. And I got to listen to that, right? Like, no. So Staff Sergeant Tatum, that's why I got out of the Army.
And of course, those are the guys with the biggest egos.
Oh, I mean, he was a know-it-all. He's been there, done that. But man, very hard to respect somebody that doesn't earn it. And there's a lot of people in the military that, I mean, in the Air Force and more in particular, because you have to test. And I mean, so when we get promoted in the Army, you go to the board.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know what rank you were when you got out, but I was an E5, but I made E5 in 24 months. You can't do that in the Air Force.
Yeah, nah.
So, I mean, I made it as soon as I could.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, still dumbass is in charge, right? I mean, and he got promoted, and after, I mean, like 20 years, he finally made E7, and kudos to him for not having anything else going in his life but staying in the military, chasing off a lot of good soldiers in the process.
That's exactly how it works.
So you got out because of stupidity.
Yeah.
Then what?
Then, so like months before I got out, I joined a program to learn how to rank websites on Google. So my intention was to start a search engine optimization business, and I did that. So that was the first thing I did.
SEO guy.
Yes, sir.
What kind of business did that turn into for you?
So it was cool and all. You know, I had an attorney. I helped him get ranked on internationally all over America on the first page of Google. You know, that was pretty cool. I was young and earning like $4K a month. So, you know, I have a business. Then I realized I was like, I'm not really passionate about this, you know? So that's kind of where that went. Yeah.
You know, that was one of my first jobs after I graduated from college. Realized I couldn't, nobody wanted to pay me what I thought I was worth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took a job as an independent contractor for Google.
Oh, wow. We got something in common there.
And yeah, what a boring job. That was actually what got me, right? Is staring at a computer all day. I just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just, that part killed me. So then I went into the financial services business.
Yeah.
Which so from SEO, where do you go?
So from SEO, I got into so while I was building SEO, I discovered that I was such a wimp when it comes to cold calling. Oh my gosh. I'd make a list of like 15 names and it would take me like a week, and I'm like, oh, I gotta do this first. Oh, okay, but it's my environment. My environment's not good enough. I gotta go to the community college because I'll be able to focus. And I get to the community college, and then I'm just like not calling anybody. And then I end up coming home. I may have called like 2 people. So I then went to I needed money too. So I went to I had an option of either fixing jets like I did in the Air Force or getting like a sales job. Why did I want the sales jobs? Because I wanted to work at a startup, because I wanted to increase my skills, and I wanted to knock on doors because I faced rejection. So cool thing was my plan worked. I wanted to work at a startup to kind of be like a paid internship. The company I worked for was kind of new. They've been around for like 2 years, and it was owned by, I think he was 26 years old. I think my wife says he was 27. But yeah, this young millionaire guy who dropped out of college, he was the owner, and I didn't even know he was the owner because he looked like a kid. And he just heard me talking one day, and he told the marketing manager, he was like, hey, I want that guy to learn sales with me. So then he starts driving me around, and after about a year, I learned so much about business because he was working his butt off and didn't want to work so hard. So he taught me everything so I could take over everything. And that's when I created this acronym called MEPS for my own business, because I still had the SEO company at the time. And what MEPS stands for is the 5 elements to a 6 or 7 figure business, because he used it in his business as well. Quick sidestep. The reason why I developed MEPS is because when I learned how to do SEO, I thought I would have a successful business. But then I quickly discovered it doesn't matter if you have a product and you don't know how to sell it. I'm sure you could relate. Then I was like, okay, well, I got to learn sales. And I was like, it doesn't matter if you're going up to these people and they don't even know who you are. They're not going to buy what you're selling. So then I was like, okay, I got to learn marketing. Then I ran out of time because then I got a job. And then I was like, okay, I need systems. And then I built the systems. And then I started earning $17,000 a month sometimes, like back to back. And when I was learning from this 26-year-old guy, he looks at my phone one day and he sees all these notifications and apps, and he just goes, ew. He goes, I don't know how you live like that. I could never do that. So I just watching him and being around him, I noticed how disciplined he was. So that's when I came up with self-mastery. So to answer your question, what came after the SEO? I was working at a solar company. I ended up being like pretty much the #1 sales guy. And then I ended up growing the marketing team by coaching them, because MEPS also means that in order to get more sales, you need more leads. You know what I mean? It's another way of finding bottlenecks in your business. It's always going to be in one of those areas. So I was basically the guy in charge of helping his business get leads so he can make more money. So yeah, I started coaching, but the people who were getting leads, they're like college students, right? Young people. So I had to coach them and help them instill disciplines and leadership to help the leads go up. And that's when I discovered coaching. So in between solar and coaching, I went at a roofing company and I helped him crush it. I recruited like 12 people, and we launched, and he was making really good money. And this guy decided to go on vacation the 2 weeks of the launch and gave me no authority to make any decisions. And guess what that reminded me of?
The military.
Exactly. So I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm starting my own business. And I launched VetBoss and started, showing veterans, MEPs, and started training them on that and helping them start their own business. So that's how we got here.
So, number of clients today, how many people are you working with?
I have about 70 something clients.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So how many veterans are you working with to start their own coaching business?
Right now, probably about 3 actively. Kind of took a break at the end of last year. So just kind of vamping back up.
That's one thing I always find kind of interesting working with veterans, right, is we're motivated differently. Finances don't always tend to be a driving force. So,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's unique because people always ask me, like, what motivates me? It's really never money. Money has never motivated me. Granted, I have 8 kids and I love to be able to take care of my kids, but it's not my number one driving factor, right? Service always has been. So
I'm so glad we're having this conversation. This is what I've been thinking about so hard for like the whole last year and going into this year. That's why I'm coming off a break, actually.
Yeah, no, I mean, in working with veterans, it's very hard to understand. I mean, unless you've been there, right? Like, money doesn't do it.
Right.
It's an interesting factor that, I mean, there are some people that are highly driven by money, and there's exceptions even for military guys. Right. But I have this friend who has a solar company, of all things, and he keeps trying to get me to come run it for him, like you did and tell me, oh, dude, you can make so much money. You can, like, yeah, but I mean, doesn't interest me. Like, it's not one of those things like I can't see myself doing, mostly because, like, it's all for money. I mean, the only purpose of doing that, in my opinion, is for money. What I do on a daily basis, one, I help other business owners. That's, I mean, probably my biggest driving factor is helping other business owners. But next, in my actual business that pays the bills, I help people improve their lives every day. Right? I mean, you can't do that with solar.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
Like,
so glad
it is hard to wake up and get motivated to go sell solar unless you're driven by the dollar.
Right. 100%.
So, what do you guys do? What do you and your wife do? I'm interested in that aspect of your life.
We talk about this, bro. I mean, we hang out. We're normal people, so yeah, we hang out. But to be honest, we're kind of not normal because we don't watch TV. My TV's been sitting there for like years. We haven't even like turned it on. So really and truly, we read the Bible. We look at the world, and we have conversations like this. And we might be like, "Hey, let's go drive into the mountains." And when we're driving into the mountains, we have conversations like this. So, and about our relationship, our future, and our kids. So, right now, the biggest thing for both of us is to just find like the most purposeful thing to do, not only for ourselves, but for veterans and for community. And I know community is pretty broad, but I don't have an answer beyond that right now. I really don't.
Yeah. Community is a very unique aspect, right? Because community is the people that we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, we have community in church, right?
Yeah.
We have community in business. We have community in like the actual community because we serve the people that are around us anyway. Like coaching. I mean, really, if I could retire today, my passion would be coaching youth sports, right? I love coaching. I love turning little sissies into athletes.
Let's go.
And there we go. There, I was waiting for the let's go.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, the kids today are growing up in a unique world that is pretty soft.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get plenty of complaints coaching every year. I get a complaint that I'm too rough. But that's the reason why. So that's the discipline, right? That's the factor, the military factor of like it requires hard work and effort.
Yeah.
To achieve a goal.
Yeah.
People just want to be a 300 hitter. Like you have to put a lot of work into. I mean, I was out throwing the ball for my son on Sunday after church. I'm like you have to put in a lot of time to be good at anything. So you can't skip the hard work. Everybody wants to skip the hard work part.
Right.
So tell me about the blood, sweat, and tears that took you to VetBoss, man. I know it wasn't easy.
Yeah. It was not. I mean, man, where do I even start? I mean, just first and foremost, when I got out of the Air Force, me and my wife moved in with my mom. And my plan was, to just start this SEO company. I thought I was to start earning like 30K in like a couple months. So I was like, all right, we're going to be at my mom's for a quick bit, babe. I'm going to work hard. I got all this ambition in me, and we're going to be rich. Totally didn't work out that way. I was at my mom's house probably for like 3 years trying to figure out how to grow a business. That's why MEPS came. MEPS actually came almost maybe possibly literally out of tears because I kept thinking, oh, I need one more thing. And it's funny because now that I learn more about marketing, that is what marketing is to convince your market that you have the missing thing that they need. Yeah. So, I mean, just living with your mom and like the bedroom that I lived in before, like in high school, like that's where we moved into, and we got 3 little dogs in a little bedroom. And then that room was a little too small. So we moved into my brother's old bedroom. You know what I mean? It was just not the best way to live for 3 years. And she's like, hey, like something's got to happen. And once she said that, you know how we are as men, I'm like, nah, increase my standards. And it was really hard, man. Like just even with growing SEO, my strategy was to go to the shopping center down the street that I used to like walk through when I was in high school and just not knock on the doors, but like walk into the stores and just try to sell SEO. It was horrible. And something that was really hard for me is a lot of people would want to follow my lead. So like people just keep coming to me to work for me for free. And so now I'm like leading teams when like I don't even know what I'm doing. And like that doesn't even feel good. And then like, yeah. So it was
how many presentations did you do and they steal your plan and don't hire you?
My plans probably weren't even good enough to steal back then. So I did a lot of presentations, but I think they were just like, oh, that's interesting. Not going to buy it. Because I mean, SEO was such a hard sell. It was basically like, this was the whole sell. I can get you on the first page of Google. Maybe. I can't guarantee it because I don't own Google. And it's going to take 8 months and it's going to cost you $4,000 a month. And I'm fresh out of the military and I barely have any experience.
And yet you convinced somebody to pay you.
A few people. Yeah.
So we do one of my other many businesses that I do. So I manage Google Ads for some companies.
Yeah.
And I've put together the presentations for them, and then they think they can do it themselves.
Yeah.
One of the guys I manages Google Ads right now.
Yeah.
So he took a break from me doing it for 6 months,
Yeah.
and then called me in a panic saying, I don't know what the hell's going on here. Like, just take it back. Like,
Hot potato.
I'm telling you, it's not as easy as it looks some days, right? I mean,
Right.
same thing with SEO, but SEO is actually a little bit more challenging, I think, because depending on how far you're trying to reach. Local SEO not as difficult as national.
Yeah.
So
When it got national, I had a team of people that were in the same school that I was with that were really dedicated on the product side. I was dedicated on the marketing and sales side. So we just teamed up and split it 50-50.
So let's dig into MEPS a little bit. What is the uniqueness?
Mm-hmm.
When we won't give away the secret sauce.
Yeah.
But we all know you can give away the recipe to anything. It's how you perform the recipe that makes the difference, right?
Yeah.
But when we talk about marketing, what are the people that you help? What's their success in marketing? What are they doing that's really helping their businesses?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you mind if I like change your question a little bit so I can just give as much of the goodie bags as possible?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna just talk about marketing. And if I'm talking too much, just take the mic. All right. So, because I don't know if it froze.
No, you're good.
All right, cool. So basically my goal right now is to just share some things about marketing. So first and foremost, marketing, the goal of marketing is to generate leads. That's actually where I started, but my understanding of marketing is getting so much higher. I can't see you. I can only see my face. So I just want to make sure one more time. Is it working?
You're good. You're good.
Okay, cool. So MEPS originally, right? Because what's happening is my skill set is getting higher and higher. So the way I look at marketing has actually evolved. But the way that I've built a 6-figure business, the way that my clients have been able to really grow their businesses, enroll $6,000 clients and stuff like that, is understanding that you have to always have a lead flow coming in. If you don't have leads coming into your business, well, then you're not going to be able to sell anything. It's pretty simple, but harder to do than it sounds. And then where my level of my understanding of marketing has evolved to is that you could also be aware of the market's awareness level. So marketing is also understanding your prospect more than they understand themselves. Marketing is speaking to their pains and their desires in a way to where you may be educating them that they even have that pain and desire. And when you're putting out content, you want to be following a marketing strategy with an end goal. You should be moving people towards buying your product. But marketing is honestly one of the most dangerous skills in society, because when you become a good marketer, you learn how to change people's beliefs and the way they think, and they will buy things. So just like in Spider-Man, when they say with great power comes great responsibility, that is marketing. That's not even sales, in my opinion. Because I think people are smart enough in today's time to where if somebody's being aggressive with them on a sales call, they're going to be like, F you. But so now humans have evolved to really change and essentially brainwash people in their marketing to where when they get on the sales call, it's pretty much simple. So, I mean, there's still some manipulations that can happen on a sales call, but it's really a lot is done in the marketing. So my point is, you got to really make sure you have a product that really solves that market's needs, and that you really understand them, and you under promise and over deliver. So I'll share another thing, and then we'll pause and see if I should keep going. There are 4 or 5 levels of market awareness. So like, you have completely unaware, which means that your market doesn't even know they have a problem, and they don't even know that there's a solution, because they don't even know there's a problem. Then you have problem aware, where this market knows that they have a problem, but they don't even know there's a solution out there. Then you have solution aware, to where they know they have a problem, they know the solution. And then they have product aware, to where they know the solution and they know what products are out there. And then there's completely aware. They know everything. They know all the price points. They know all the products out there that are offering to solve that issue. And so depending on which level your market is at, your avatar, your customer target customer, you want to switch the way you communicate to them, depending on where they're at. So marketing went from, initially with MEPS, I was able to help people, like I said, enroll $6,000 clients by positioning them in the market correctly and showing them how to get leads. But I'm realizing really the next level is knowing who your audience is and really educating them to help them move towards really desiring your product or service. And I'll end with this. It's a great quote by a guy who wrote a book called Breakthrough Advertising. Last I checked, it was like $300 book. And in this book, I was reading it, and it says, you can't change, or you can't create a desire, right? He said, all you can do is channel a desire that's already out there onto your product. For example, you just drank a Rockstar, right? You can't make people desire to have more energy, but you could take people that want more energy and say, hey, we have this drink that's going to give you more energy. You could take a market that wants more energy and they don't want the calories, and say, hey, we have this drink that gives you more energy and it's 0 calories. That's marketing. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're in a unique business right now, coaching, helping coaches, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're also a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and I love how you laid out the different levels of awareness, because I'm a product guy, right? Mm-hmm. So different. I'm not selling a service. I'm selling a product, and we understand the stages of the funnel, and really the difficulty in advertising to that market, right? I mean, most of the time, when we look at the levels of awareness that you discussed, like, it's very expensive to target specific people. So where do you go to that avatar and say, look, this is how I'm going to fine tune that avatar, knowing I have a limited budget and a limited capacity, and really dig into that avatar? Do you have a source that you use?
Do I have a source that I use? What do you mean by source?
Worksheet, book.
Okay. So, I mean, books, copywriting books are really good place to start. But to answer your question, if your market, you said your market is product aware?
Yeah. So, I mean, what we're looking for people that are trying to solve their issues with new mattresses, right? I mean, that you're getting there. Hopefully they've discovered that the fact is they're not getting a good night's sleep, and that they've targeted the fact that their mattress is 25 years old and sucks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really where we have to zoom in, versus that, top of the funnel, top of awareness, unaware. Yeah, I mean, that unawareness, we just can't afford to hit those people.
Well, I'm impressed that you understand that, because let's say it's a pyramid like this. Completely unaware is right here at the bottom, it's very interesting that you already know that these are the most expensive people to really communicate to, but they have the highest growth potential long term in like recurring revenue. So, what's your question again?
I think we both lost it. No, it's
it was
just,
either where do you start or how do you
what do you have a question? So as you're coaching people, do you have a workbook or something that you're going through, or a resource that helps you identify really the easiest low-hanging fruit and where to go from there?
Yeah, I have a worksheet from basically all the best. Best is very debatable, but like amongst the most successful copywriters in America, like questions that they would have, that they would ask before they launch their campaigns. I go through that sheet and I get really clear on the avatar's pains, desires, and stuff like that. And from that point, one should be able to begin at least to create a marketing strategy.
So as a marketing guy, well, I'm a sales guy trying to figure out marketing, right? Marketing is different. And I used to be an advertising guy, which most people think advertising is marketing. Advertising is not marketing. It's part of a marketing plan.
Right.
So when we look at copyright, and who's your guy? Who do you look at?
Yeah, it's a good question. Peter Drucker's good. Todd Brown's good. Ogilvy. What's his first name?
Old school, right?
Yeah.
That one. So
Claude C. Hopkins, Ogilvy. I don't know his first name right now. And I've been recommended a book. It's supposed to be really good too, called Great Leads. I haven't read it yet. I looked at the chapters. The chapters sounded really good. But yeah, David Ogilvy. There we go.
You ever run into Dan Kennedy?
Dan Kennedy. I was actually reading his book yesterday. What is it?
He has like 27 books.
Yeah.
That guy is now he's partnered with ClickFunnels.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think they bought all of his content.
Wow.
Which is like 40 years of books.
Wow.
So, ClickFunnels is based here in Boise.
I did not know that.
So, well, technically, I think they're in Meridian, but like I can drive by their campus. You would think that it would be bigger, but it's not.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, I picture like an Amazon building or something.
No, it's not that impressive. It's like a regular office building.
Oh, wow.
It's like, oh, this is even one story. It's not even a 2-story building.
Really?
But unique that a guy from Idaho, a wrestler from Idaho, started ClickFunnels.
He looks like a wrestler.
Yeah, he was a wrestler, and but cool stuff. Trying to think of where we go, Elijah. What are some things that you would like to cover with veterans? Where are you going in the next year?
So right now, I just really, I really want to know, what do veterans care about? Like you mentioned at the beginning, it's like, I know we're big on purpose, and I'm really creating the culture for VetBoss, and I really right now want to just hear from the people and hear what they care about, what they need, and I want to build that out. So,
it's tough, right? That transition, especially when we look at different branches of the service, right? You Air Force guys might come out a little smarter. Us Army guys come out maybe a little harder, right? We come out more used to using our hands than our brains. So I think that's a kind of a broad spectrum of avatars, right? If we were going to target people in types of businesses, and I really like, Army guys, I think different level of coaching, right? Different type of of business. But the end result is still being your own boss, the BYOB.
Yeah.
You know, be your own boss. We're tired of working for people.
Yeah.
The majority of us are. Or the younger part, I would say the people that get out earlier, people that get out longer. If you retire Air Force or Army or any branch of the service, very few do I see successfully become entrepreneurs. Not saying they can't, but it's a different mentality, right?
Yeah.
When you get out for similar reasons like us, because you just can't deal with the stupidity, then it's a whole different target, right? I mean, we don't want to work for stupid people anymore.
Right.
So the idea that we have to go to a 9 to 5 and work for some 26-year-old kid, right? That, I mean, might have a great business background, but no life. I mean, the military ages you quick.
Yeah.
I mean, how much time did you spend away from your wife when you were in the military?
Don't even get me started, bro. A lot of time away.
So, same thing here, right? I mean, that my wife and I got married, so I had went through basic training, AIT, and then ASI school, and then came back and got engaged. Left for 6 months, came home, got married. When we got married, we decided, okay, we're going to make the drive back. I was stationed Fort Polk, Louisiana. We're going to make the drive back. That's kind of going to be our honeymoon. It's the military honeymoon, right?
Yeah.
I got a call in Dallas, Texas, saying you're going to be at formation at 3 a.m. for weapons draw, right? So I have to hurry and get back to Fort Polk, which is 5 hours away from Dallas. Get there, go get my stuff from my barracks, check my wife into the hotel, and then I leave her for 2 weeks. That was her introduction to being married. Was to a military guy was, welcome to Fort Polk. You're stuck in the hotel for 2 weeks. So a lot of time away.
Dang, bro. That's heavy, man.
It makes it tough, right? I mean, the military life is just as hard for the spouse.
Right.
As it is for, there's multiple reasons why people get out of the military. That was one of my motivating factors too, I watched my friends, I watched their wives raise their kids, right? I was fortunate. I had my son like a month before I got out of the Army. So it was before I officially got out of the Army. But I watched my friends' kids grow up essentially without them, because they were gone all the time to Afghanistan and in Iraq, and then I watch them now. They're graduating high school and their dads are retiring, and they've never been part of their lives, except for 6 months here, year there. So military life's tough.
It is.
So what's your first story leaving your wife at home?
Man, this one's not nearly as intense as what you just said, but this one just comes to mind because it was like the most annoying. So I'm in South Korea, and one day, let's see. Actually, no. I got a better one. So when I was stationed at Nellis, right, I had a guy who, I guess he just didn't like his home life or something, but we would finish our work and we'd work like 10 hours, 12 hours, and we'd just be sitting there. And he'd just be like talking next to us, hanging out with people, laughing, throwing stuff at each other. And we're just sitting there twiddling our thumbs every single day. And then we couldn't leave until he would come in and say, okay, you guys can go home. That's literally all we're waiting for him to say. And sometimes he'd like walk by And then he was friends with one of the like higher ranking people. Like, I think he was like a staff sergeant, and that guy was an E6. And sometimes he would come in and we'd think that he's going to tell us to go home, and he'd see us all sitting there. And then he'd say to the guy, "Hey, let's go to the fuel shop." So then they would both get in the truck. They would drive like 20 minutes away, hang out over there. Because sometimes we would just go with him because we're like, might as well just hang out on the truck. So we knew what he was doing. He would go to the fuels department and then mess around with the fuels guys until he gets bored. Then he'd drive like 20 minutes back, go in the office and chill for a bit. And then he'd be like, all right, you guys can go home. And sometimes he'd joke around and be like, yeah, you guys are staying there or whatever. But I didn't know if he really was aware of what he was doing. So one day I volunteered to go to a help out at a golf tournament. And then he sees my wife for the first time. He goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm the reason why your husband's always coming home extremely late." He just says that to her. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I'm getting out. I'm getting out.
I mean, we spent many hours in the motor pool waiting for that same thing, right? I mean,
are you serious?
Oh man, it was ridiculous. We used to, I mean, finally when I made E5, I would say, all right, we're gonna go to the barracks and do some barracks inspections, aka we're gonna chill and play Madden, because it beats being out in the 90-degree heat in Louisiana during the summer, until your platoon leader or platoon sergeant's ready to go. Like, no. So yes, the level of stupidity also taught me a valuable lesson as a leader, right? And one thing I did well when I was in Iraq was I never volunteered my team for stupid shit, ever. Like, I would, unless, and my team knew that I wouldn't put them in a position where it was pointless. If we were doing something, it had meaning, or that we had, I mean, unfortunately, you only rank what you rank, right? I mean, otherwise, I went kicking and screaming into some stupid details, but they knew that if we were doing it, it was because we had to, not because it was meaningless time waste.
Right.
Because time is valuable, no matter what. Time with your wife is valuable. Time with your family is valuable. Time is valuable.
Yeah.
So, also another reason why people get into entrepreneurship, right? I mean, they think that they're going to get more time at home. You work from home.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't. With 8 kids, that'd be chaos.
I see. That makes sense. Yeah.
But it's definitely a nice avenue to be able to do it. So, and create that life. What's your ideal target? What's your customer?
Yeah, for sure, man. I would say somebody who's getting out of the military and they're like, man, kind of like what we talked about. I want to start a business. I don't know where to start, and I don't know anything, but I just know I'm committed to starting a business.
So what kind of business are you going to drive them towards?
I've been helping veterans start coaching businesses, and just to be completely candid and transparent, I'm not sure. I may create a course that just shows people how to solve a problem and start their own business. That's where I'm at. I do see a lot of potential in the financial services industry, but that's just really an idea right now. And so it was cool that you mentioned that. I was going to ask you questions about that to see what your thoughts were.
So, I mean, that was my first business. Well, not really my first one, but the one I sold before the one I'm in. It's unique, right? The opportunity, and I've had a lot of friends in the military get out and do life insurance sales.
Yeah.
Life insurance is tough. Especially, that going back to the MEPS process, right? Being able to market, being able to consistently get good leads versus bad leads, and being able to identify the difference.
Yeah.
When you talked about, having 15 numbers to call and not doing it, dude, when I started my insurance business, I was upstairs. I rented this stupid little crappy office for $400 a month above a barber shop. And I would sit up there and I'd make 150 phone calls a day.
Mm.
And nobody likes telemarketers.
Mm.
And you make 150 calls. I think I got it down to like, if I made 150 calls, I could give like 10 quotes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if I could quote 10 people, maybe I could sell, 2 or 3, which was good. But it is hard to consistently make 150 calls a day. So eventually you hire that out, or I did. And then you realize, hang on, I became really good at this skill, but I'm not very good at teaching it.
Mm.
And that would go back to part of your MEPS process when I was looking at is, right, having that systems, having those scripts, having, being fully prepared. It's that part is, being able to do something and replicating it are two different things.
Yeah.
So how would you coach somebody through identifying the successful process and teaching it?
Well, let's hone in on teaching telemarketing skills, right? Because that's actually my bread and butter. So when I was at Solar, I discovered my skill in teaching people how to door knock, which I think the reason why it's so hard to teach that skill is because the people who are doing it are like us as veterans, and they catch on to there's no purpose in it. And so what I would actually do is I would recommend for that person to help them see the purpose in it, even if that means, hey, it's not a permanent thing for you. I want to show you how to get into sales, and I'm helping you hone your skills for sales through this. And then I would help that company start a HR department of recruiting and doing enough interviews, just like sales. You got to do 10 interviews a day to find like one good person, right? We'd figure out whatever those KPIs are and make sure that they have bodies coming in. Look at me saying bodies. I'll have people coming in and training them and, telling them the same thing. Like, hey, if you want to do this forever, like that's great. But if not, this could be a way for you to get to sales. And so you just keep moving people to sales, and you keep taking new people and helping them start there. That's what I would recommend.
All right.
Yeah.
So giving them purpose, right? Giving them purpose behind whatever task.
Yeah.
It's important, right? Especially, for, I would say, veterans, right? Having purpose is important. I think most people today, purpose is important. I'm trying to think of when purpose wouldn't be important, but not getting caught in the minutia of the small task.
And that's why I actually looked at the financial services industry. To be honest, what really happened was I prayed for about a year. God, please give me something that I just really feels like people need, and that popped up. And, if so, like insurance may not be needed if you stay alive, but like if you do die, or, how great is it to like your family set? Like imagine if like there was a death, but then there was also like, I was going to say $1 million policy, but let's just say even 500K. Like at least there's like a silver lining in that, and I think there's a lot of purpose in life insurance. What are your thoughts on that?
So I always think, the most important thing you can do when you sell insurance is have a story. So my story is, and always, when it regards insurance, I had a friend who, I was in the insurance business. He was a really successful realtor, right? We went to college together. Really successful guy. Far more successful than I was or am even today, in terms of money. And I tried to sell him insurance and he didn't buy. And I I thought, oh, damn. Well, turns out 6 months later, my friend passes away. Right. He had cancer, and he knew it when I was trying to sell him insurance. He didn't want anybody else to know it. And worse, 6 months after that, his 6-year-old son passed away of cancer as well. And I always thought, like, I mean, fortunately for them, they were pretty well off, right? I mean, he had a pretty successful real estate business. But there's so many people that are in that position where if that were to happen, your wife either has to go back to work or they're homeless. Right? Or could you imagine taking care of, like, I mean, for instance, my wife taking care of 8 kids without a life insurance policy? Granted, I have life insurance, but I don't have enough. Right? I mean, in my world, there's never enough.
Right.
Because, yeah, your responsibilities change when you become, all of a sudden, you're the sole person in charge of the family. So I would say, I mean, it's a great industry to be in. There's just so much bullshit in it. And people start pushing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Right. If you're in it to help people, it's a great business to be in. If you're in it because there's a lot of money in it, you're also in the right business, but your motivation's wrong. Right. I think all of sales, any type of sales you get in, should be about helping people solve a problem, right? And identifying that. Now, insurance, especially if you get it when you're young, can be very beneficial, right? And so one of the things you've got in the VetBoss group, right? Bank on yourself, right? Or right? Is it bank on yourself?
Become your own bank, but
become your own bank. All right. So part of the bank on yourself process, there's a lot of people that don't understand term and whole life insurance, and there's some super good benefits. And I'm not an expert in the be your own bank. The problem with that is there's not a ton of people that are experts in be your own bank. I would love to be an expert, and I tried to learn it all, and but you have to have a different clientele, a different mindset. You have to have that entrepreneurial mindset to understand be your own bank, right? And if you can sell that and understand that, hey, this is how people create wealth, is not by paying interest to somebody else.
Right.
So I think there's definitely room in the financial services business for that aspect. People understanding the process of being your own bank. But like anything, I mean, it requires you to save. And some people are not good savers. So finding the right people, challenge in that. I mean, dude, I'd be a millionaire right now if I could figure that key ingredient out, or I could have 10 years ago when I was in that business.
Bruh, you got me fired up, bruh, because that's exactly where I was thinking. Because again, I have to be passionate about the product, and my brothers and sisters are the same way, right? And so helping veterans start a business is passionate for me, but that would be like my only product. I can't really be a part of what they're doing. So it's like a little bit harder to be passionate about. But just knowing that other people are getting educated, and here's the thing, actually changing their habits. Me being an entrepreneur, I'm normal too. Like, I wasn't the greatest with money, and just being introduced to Dave Ramsey, his process. Now, I'm not saying he's a financial expert in every area, but when it comes to, hey, stop being stupid and spending your money on restaurants, put that money aside, he's really good at that. And I and partnered up with another veteran who's an Air Force veteran. He's much older than me, but his heart is such in the right place. And his whole entire passion, he doesn't even do it for a lot of money. He's retired. Like, he's already good. He just helps people save their money. So I was like, man, you know, to help veterans get into an industry that is very purposeful, that it's still gonna be hard, and that's good. It should be hard. I mean, that's just how the whole entire business is. So to get into an industry that's already hard, but then to say, hey, we're gonna grit it out, but then I can support them with marketing and sales and all that stuff like that, seemed really cool.
So in that regard, I would say the worst thing you can do in the financial services business like that, right, is focus on the people that you know, right? So when I got into the business, I committed to not selling my friends.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to sour relationships.
Right.
So, I mean, make it more difficult. Learn the business on everybody else. That way, you know, without a doubt, that what you're bringing to your friends and family is truly the best, right?
Yes.
Like
yes.
You don't want to experiment on your friends and family, because relationships sour, and money can sour relationships like no other. So focus on, it's more difficult, but go find the people that you don't know.
Right.
Practice on them.
Right.
Fine tune your skills on them. And then if it's really the product you really believe in, bring it to your friends and family. Because if you don't share something that is really good, like, you're doing your friends and family a disservice, right?
Right. Exactly.
Like, especially when it comes to investing. I mean, if you can change their life, like, and you don't, you just failed your mission.
Right.
So, no, financial services, it's funny you mentioned Dave Ramsey, because I can tell you from personal, I mean, being debt-free personally, like, that changes your mindset.
Yes. Like,
the difference you make when you're spending your own money versus spending somebody else's money, it makes you be a little more aware of what you're spending your money on, but it also gives you a level of freedom that you can't find if you owe somebody.
Right.
So, man, I appreciate the opportunity to hang out with you for an hour and this morning. We'll have to keep it going.
Yeah, man, Steve, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. This was great. And I'm gonna keep in touch with you. This is awesome, brother. Thank you so much.
Love to. Anytime you have any questions, or you feel free to bounce them off me. I'm really good at telling you when ideas suck.
Yeah.
Really hard at identifying good ones. I'm a really good pessimist. You ever need the bad guy on your shoulder? I'm that guy. Like, I just don't see any money in that, Elijah.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you're open to be a bad guy, as soon as we hop off here, we're going to get into some side fire chat.
Perfect, man. Let me end this broadcast real quick. Thanks again.